Joe, everybody. How we doing here? A little conflict of interest. There we go. How you doing? Anyway, isn't that just Murphy's Law? What's up, little kid? Yeah, so checking out Instagram yesterday, saw a cool video of yeah, my favorite. He was not a beat poet, but he could have been. Gord Downie with the Tragically Hip, and it was the clip where he's in front of a very big crowd somewhere, and he's talking about laminar flow. Laminar flow. So you know, he's talking about the great whales of the sea. Actually, he doesn't say it that way, but Great Whales of the Sea is a really cool Matthew Good song. But actually, you know what? Let's go straight here. Yeah. Straight into the sun. Laminar flow. He's explaining to the crowd. He's like, you might be interested in this, you know. And so he's talking about a whale can undulate its skin, and he says, you know, laminar flow. The dolphin can work its way through the water with no resistance or drag because of laminar flow and the way it moves its body. And he said it reaches torpedo speed with 10% of the energy it would require something else to reach torpedo speed. And then he looks at the crowd and he laughs, kind of like maniacal, sarcastical, ah, ha, 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 ha. And then he says, do it! He yells it at the crowd. You know, crowd goes crazy because it's, you know, he was full of that kind of stuff. You know, he learns a thing, and with Gord, you know, it can become a metaphor. So he's telling this crowd that is packed in about laminar flow, which is what, you know, fish and whales and dolphins do when they're packed in, and they can cut through the water with almost no resistance whatsoever. You know, and it's such a great metaphor for life about, you know, how we can maybe undulate through life instead of all the friction and resistance. You know, a little bit of undulation, a little bit of laminar flow, and we can achieve torpedo speed, you know, and have, you know, success, minimal effort, you know. And it's just it was a beautiful, and you know, it's just like I said, maniacal. He went on these maniacal rants sometimes, you know, and they were always like one time only. So the laminar flow, that was that one show, and there was another one where he talked about the guy that cleans the killer whale tank or whatever, and you know, he had things like that. But anyway, so the Tragically Hip, the band, the remaining members, you know, posted that clip, and you know, so you know, I watched the rant and I enjoyed it because I just love the way his mind works. And you know, he did often talk on multiple levels. So yeah, he was telling the crowd a science lesson, you know, and then and whatever, but really that was a lesson to take home and chew on later, you know. And like laminar flow, oh, how did he tell us that, you know, and kind of put the pieces together and understand the deeper metaphor. But so yeah, I watched a little clip on Instagram, and I just posted, you know, classic Gord, because that's a classic Gord thing. And some dingbat who is not acquainted with laminar flow, apparently, he responded to my, you know, classic Gord, and he types, really? And so I'm like, what? Like, first of all, who are you? And yeah, it was like, really? Like, who is this ray of sunshine, this Himalayan of the mind, to quote Gord, you know what I mean? And you know, so I typed a little something back, like pretended I didn't pick up on the sarcasm. I'm like, oh yeah, he's known for his blah blah blah, it's just a classic Gord thing. And he's like, oh, like something like some dumb remark, and like, whoa, whatever floats your boat. I was like, holy cow, like who are you, and you know, what impetus caused you to, or impotence perhaps, caused you to you know, call me out by name on Instagram and really my comment, you know what I mean? Like, who, get out of here. If you were my neighbor, you wouldn't type that, because I'd come over and knock on your door, you know what I mean? That's the kind of mentality you deal with. So to be affected by stuff like that, it was actually perfect timing, because I just listened to He Who Walks Among the Stars talking about laminar flow. So, you know, maybe it's time to learn to undulate my skin a little bit more, metaphorically. Let it slough off. Forget that resistance, and just let it go. You know what I mean? Well, there's a guy who reached out. He felt it, you know, important enough to throw a witty barb my way, or a witless barb, and then just go about his day. So wherever on planet Earth he may be. So anyway, yeah, it just makes me thankful for people like Gord, and you know, it's like people like that. Sometimes I think about some of my favorite poets, you know, were the beat poets. Actually, fittingly enough, because the turn onto this street, you know, that's where I passed the Jack Kerouac, Neil Cassidy poster. That was leaning against a tree. But anyway, you know, the beat poets, some of those guys were some of the most misunderstood people of their generation, and you know, they were castigated, whatever that word means. They were ridiculed. They were, you know, they were sneered at by the higher ups in education. You know, the true poets, classical poets. But some of those classical poets really dug it, and they could see the evolution right before their eyes of this craft called poetry, you know, and creative expression, and they got into it, you know. And so I feel like, you know, Gord, he reminds me a lot of that. He's cut from the same cloth, and I really like what he says. And you know, but a lot of people, you know, maybe most people, I don't know. I feel like Tragically Hip fans tend to be a little more cerebral than you know, other fan bases in some cases. Certainly not my my little interactive partner there on Instagram, but you know, I don't know, for what it's worth, a lot of people of that ilk, you know, like Gord, like Kerouac and Ginsberg, and, you know, I'll even throw, you know, like Cummings in there and stuff. A lot of these guys, you know, they just, people don't get it. They don't get it. And, but that does seem to be, what, you know, history teaches us that that's what happens to people who innovate with things, whether it be technology, language, art, you know, spiritual, you know, whatever. It's just what happens, what the masses do. The masses do. So anyway, that's all. What did I even, how did I waste your time? Laminar flow. Consider it. If I can find the video on YouTube, I'll post that, and you can watch him go on his little spiel. And yeah, in typical classic Gord fashion. And you can be the judge of whether sarcasm is necessary, or whether you can see it on a deeper level, like I did. Alright guys, care about you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.